Welcome back to the J Center podcast. Owen Hill here with Jesse Burrell once again. And Jesse, pitchers and catchers, I believe, are reporting tomorrow, or have they reported today? I don't know. I'm getting a little bit caught up in the thick of things. We had a big news dump. How are we feeling overall about the Jays? Spring training starting soon. You excited?
Yeah, depending on when you're listening to this, either pitchers and catchers are already reporting. We're already getting videos across the timeline of some pitchers throwing bullpen sessions. Yimi García is probably already pumping 100, looking like he's all sweaty and whatnot. We will see, but we're very, very soon. It is the first official sign that baseball is coming. As for short as this offseason has been, it has felt like a long one at times. We're officially here, guys. We made it. It's baseball season. We're here. Finally, now let's just get through spring and get to opening day.
Yeah, man. One of my favorite parts about spring training personally is the prospect side of things. We get to look and get our eyes on the guys, the future of the Blue Jays, who's going to be here, who's got a chance to make an impact in 2026 and beyond. And one of our best podcast writers at J Center is Simon Lee. And we've actually got him on the pod here for you guys today. We're excited to talk to Simon and get his perspective on the J system and hear about his favorite guys and what he thinks about the system as a whole. So Simon, how's it going today?
How's it going on? How's it going, Jesse?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. Awesome.
Alrighty. So I think the first thing I want to know is just like your overall thoughts on the J system. Like, what's your perspective on it? What do you think of the strengths? Is there a weakness? Like, who are your favorite guys? Just general bird's eye view of the whole thing.
For me personally, I feel like the system has actually improved quite a bit, especially since last offseason. I feel like last offseason, a lot of people were worried about the system, worried about like we did have Arjun Nimmala, but then other than that, like people were kind of stressed about like the direction our farm system was going. So after a lot of good like development from a lot of our top end guys, like especially our pitchers, like Johnny King, we got Gage Stanifer had a breakout season. Obviously Trey Yesavage with the absolute monster end to the season. So like that was a huge part of it. And we did like lose some pieces here and there because, we added the deadline. Davis Martinez, unfortunately, just didn't pan out and, was released. So like a lot of positives and then maybe like one or two steps back. But overall, I think like the system's in a strong spot for what we had and like what picks we've had, everything like that. So I'm pretty happy with it. In terms of like some weaknesses, like there's kind of a fall off after maybe our top like 5 or 6 guys. There are like, we know about our JoJo Parkers, our Arjun Nimmalas, our Trey Yesavages, those guys are the cream of the crop. But then once you get a bit under that, you'll see like a little bit more volatility. So maybe they have like some really good strengths, but also, the range of outcomes could be a little bit higher due to like injuries or just like a little bit concerns for like just for some things.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're going to see from a farm system of a team that has had mostly good seasons compared to bad seasons lately. You're picking later in the first round. Your picks are later. You don't have as much bonus pool money to spend. So I find getting those for sure prospects are tougher. So the Blue Jays I feel like they've had to take some swings on some guys that maybe have some loud tools or do one thing really well and try to develop the rest. And I think from what you said, Simon, is that we're seeing that a little with some of these names in the back end of the farm system.
Yeah. And then in terms of like my favorite prospect in the system, well, sorry, let me take a step back in terms of like because there's another thing that I think like we're kind of lacking is also like this like upper level like bat because like we have like 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 a lot of guys who just graduated who are like contributing like Davis Schneider, like Nathan Lucas, like a little bit older, like they were prospects a few years ago, but now they're contributing to the system. And then when we get to the AAA level, we're kind of missing like the next guys up. Like we have like Jonathan Clase who just graduated, I think, and Leo Jimenez, but like we don't really have like a prospect at the AAA level that we know like, oh, we're looking forward to coming up and contributing that much.
Yeah, Josh Kasevich, Johendrik Pinago are maybe the two names, but none of
them
are.
Too. I think RJ Shrek would also be a name to look at, but it's not like we're not like teaming with talent on the upper levels in the minors in terms of the bat. It's more of the pitching where like I think we've excelled more recently.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And that's going to be a serious problem because we haven't mentioned it yet, but the Anthony Santander injury news, out for 5 to 6 months with shoulder surgery, leaves the Jays lineup in like honestly a much weaker position than I think a lot of us were anticipating. going into spring training, and it's like a cause for concern. And there's going to be at-bats on the table for one of those guys who we mentioned, like you mentioned, Class A, Loperfido, Penango, RJ Shrek. Like one of those guys is going to have an opportunity, and if that guy doesn't make the most of it, another one's going to get an opportunity. So do you have a guy from that kind of like AAA hitter list who like you like to make the leap and like cause an impact at the big league level this season?
I think out of those guys, it would probably be like I think RJ Shrek is probably the most ready as a hitter out of all those guys. I feel like Penango, he has loud numbers. Like if you look at his contact metrics and his exit velos, they're pretty big, but he kind of doesn't have like the defensive ability that Shrek has. And although Shrek is like a little bit worse of like a power hitter, like he just has a really great approach, knows how to, just find his A swing and like he pulls the ball in the air really well.
Yeah,
so I think if we have a guy like him who just like, if he can just take like the righties and then maybe Davis Schneider can take the lefties, like we can have like a decent little platoon. Like we still have Nathan Lucas who will probably be our main left fielder at that point, but I don't think RJ Shrek can like fill a similar role. Another way we could do it is actually like get Kasevich up to the big league level and then have Barger play more in right field because he's got that cannon. And then because it's Ernie Clement at third or Okamoto. So like yeah. Like we could bolster that as well.
Yeah, we'll see. We actually went like most of the offseason feeling like this roster was pretty much set in stone. There wasn't going to be much room for anybody coming up here. And now one injury. And now it seems like it's opening up a whole bunch of potential moves that could happen for this team. So that is good news for some of the outfield prospects or the guys that are at AAA that could come up. And I bet, we're going to see quite a few of them. We saw Jonathan Clase even last year for the Blue Jays for a little bit.
Loperfido had some run. Yeah.
Loperfido had some run. We will see. Jonathan Clase was up as well. So like there are some guys that could get potential, and all it takes is one of them get hot for 2 weeks. Next thing you know, you're an everyday big leaguer, and there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I was curious just to bring it back to the farm system a little bit. Like, do you have a favorite prospect in the system? Like, and who is it? What does he do well? What do you like about him the most?
I'm a fan of the weird and kind of unconventional prospects. So like I don't know if it's a big name or anything like that, but I'm a real big fan of Adrian Pinto. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
little guy.
He's a little guy. He's like 5'6", but like when he plays, he absolutely mashes. Like I think he had a 160 WRC plus, but the only problem is that like he's just never healthy. I think for the past maybe 2 or 3 years, he's only had 200 plate appearances or less. But when he plays, it's like solid power, like MLB average exit velocities, good contact. He can play second base and outfield, center field decently well. He can run too. In his first professional season in the Dominican Summer League, he had 40 plus stolen bases. So like he just has a lot of raw tools. Like his problem is that you just can't stay on the field. He can do everything like decently well or like even above average. But like I think because he's so small and like he generates a lot of his power just based off like just through torque, through rotational force, and I think that like it's hard on his body because he's a smaller guy, and so like he gets injured a lot. So if he can learn how to like tone it down a bit and figure out like when he needs to go 100% and when he can like kind of chill out a bit and keep himself healthy, then he might be a guy who could jump up just like if he plays 100 games. It's like, oh wow, this guy's really good, and we just never knew it because he's always hurt.
Yeah, Simon, I love the call. He's now 23 years old. He's never played above Vancouver, but it's the type of guy where he's got to start to show something and get up there. And look, we've seen major league hitters have success being that short guy to use a lot of torque. Ian Kinsler comes to mind. Brian Dozier was one. Like there are a few players who have had success with that model. And good call on Adrian Pinto. I forgot he stole 40 bases back when we acquired him in the Dominican Summer League. So that is very fun. Simon, I want to take your attention back to the top because we really do need to talk about the top prospects here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Trey Yesavage is probably number one on every single prospect list. And it's kind of hard to think of him still as a prospect because of the run he went through in the postseason and through the World Series and whatnot. But he only has 3 big league starts under his belt, he's going to be the American League Rookie of the Year favorite. I know we've seen a lot of Trey Yesavage, and it's hard to remember that he is still a prospect. This will just be his second professional season. But what do we got to know about Trey Yesavage, and what should we know about his future?
I mean, Trey Yesavage is he just pitches, man. Like he gets up there and he does, like he pitches a lot. Like he eats a lot of innings. Like even in college, he had like 120 plus innings, and then this season he had a bunch of innings throughout the minors too. So he's a bigger dude, can stay healthy, can bring the rock to the mound for every 5 days, and then his pitches are nasty. He has that crazy weird over top slot with the highest release point in the majors, and his fastball is gonna have crazy ride in the mid 90s. And then obviously we've seen the splitter in the playoffs and seen what it's done to lefty hitters. You see the Yankee just flailing at every single splitter that he throws. Like the command still might need a little bit of work. Like,
right.
It's not like it was. He got more chases than he did like commanding and pinpointing his pitches. And then he might struggle a bit once like people get to see him more, because he is such an unconventional pitcher relative to like other people in his like prospect level. So it's gonna be harder for hitters to adjust just because he's so weird. But if there might be like some growing pains in between before he's like truly established himself as that like mid rotation starter or even like top end starter.
Yeah. Are you worried at all about the massive innings jump from college to the first year in baseball and from the high arm slot? I feel like I read a report from Baseball America that said pitchers who throw from a higher arm slot do tend to have more shoulder injuries than pitchers who don't. Does that concern you at all?
I mean, yeah, it is a little concerning. I don't think he had that many like arm issues in college or at all. So like, I think he's been pretty healthy so far. So like obviously the high arm angle is something you just can't really change about him. That's who he is as a pitcher. If you change that, he's not going to work the same. So like I think you just have to take what you can get and just hope that like he can stay healthy. He's a big dude. He's shown durability throughout. So I'm hoping that he can just stay healthy. And yeah, I think the concern is just like for any pitcher, like it's a tough sport. People are gonna blow their arms out. You just gotta hope that it's like not too soon or not at all. Yeah.
Do we think that there's still a little bit of growing room for Yesavage? Like, do we think that he can continue to build on the ceiling that he kind of already showed?
Yeah, I wrote about it a little bit actually, but like he was talking about how he was trying to add back his curveball that he threw in college. In college, his curveball also moved to the arm side, so all three of his pitches all moved to the arm side instead of the glove side. So he needs a pitch to kind of like throw off the righties, because he was a lot better against lefties last season than righties. So if you can get a pitch to like go to the glove side and kind of give the hitters like a split second more of a decision, instead of like, okay, it's always coming to the arm side, so you can always sit there, like that will be a huge thing. It's just that with his arm angle being so high and the way he throws the ball, like it's gonna be tough to get even a little bit of left side movement. Yeah,
like I don't know how. Like I don't think you could throw a cutter that way. I feel like a cutter would.
No,
be very
I think he tried to
to
experiment with the cutter too, but like it just hasn't come up yet. I think if it's anything, it's gonna be like a kind of like a deathy curveball kind of thing with just like a tiny bit of left side break. Yeah,
cool. Love that. The next two people on the prospect list are two shortstop prospects. There's Arjun Nimmala, still quite young, just 20 years old. And last year's first round pick, JoJo Parker, also quite young, still just a teenager. Fangraphs has them both at about the 50 to 45 plus future value. They're both second, third, or fourth, depending on which Blue Jays prospect list you have them. First, Simon, which one of the two do you have higher on your list? And what do you like about both players?
Well, for me, it's a really tough one, because I think that like both of them are super young and there's a lot of projection you have to do with those two, especially because like they're both high school picks. They both like have shown a lot of potential. For me right now, I think I have Arjun Nimmala slightly higher, just because I think he's just a way better like defender at short. He's like gotten like rave reviews from a lot of people that I've seen just about his defense. He's like has quick hands. He's pretty mobile. He's shown a lot. Like I think some places like Baseball America, I think he could be plus at short. And obviously he's still filling out his body, so he might be a little bit too big for a short. But we've seen like big shortstops work. So I think Arjun like having the power potential as well. He kind of did slow down like halfway through the season, but I think that like him cutting down on the strikeouts and just being able to like, and also Vancouver is like one of the worst hitting parks in the minors. Like it's really tough to hit there. So I think he still has a lot to show, offensively as well. And he's still just turning 20, I think, this season.
Yeah,
He's still
this will be
extremely
his age
young
20.
because he was drafted at 17 years old. So he's still like, he's only like what, maybe just a year older than JoJo Parker. I still think JoJo Parker is a really good hitter. Like I think he's gonna hit. He's gonna have like decent pop. The only thing is like he's probably just gonna be most likely a third baseman rather than a shortstop.
And I guess there is value too in being able to play good shortstop defense.
Yeah.
Does it concern you at all how like Arjun Nimmala, like he was a 92 WRC plus, and I know you mentioned Vancouver, tough place to hit. I know you've mentioned that he was dealing with a little bit of an injury towards last year, but I want to see my top prospects like prove that they're
mash?
too good, like MASH. Yeah. So that's am I wrong to be in concern here because the stats just haven't shown that Arjun Nimmala is like this? Does that worry you at all?
I think that he did get like a little unlucky. Like he still was hitting the ball like pretty hard, and it's not like he was completely terrible. Like I think it just his age. He's still young. He's hitting against like better pitchers, people who were in college already. He already had a few years in the minors, and I think that with his, I just think his body, like you can fill out still quite a bit more, and just the ability to lift the ball and pull the ball in the air is something that is kind of hard to find. Like in a prospect, especially one that can play a good shortstop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Arjun Nimmala as your pick ahead of JoJo Parker as well. But can you talk to JoJo Parker a little bit too? Because I know, like, I would say the floor with him is probably a little bit higher. Obviously, we're talking high school hitters, so neither floor is astronomical.
No.
But I think JoJo Parker, I think the ability to hit. He's like more of a pure hitter than Nimmala. I think like on that side of the ball, he's gonna have a little bit of a higher floor.
Yeah, for sure. I think he is gonna be able to hit. It's just the thing is like, he came from like Mississippi. I think I've heard like there may be like I don't know if this is true or not, but like I've heard that maybe there's like some concerns out of like that's the state for like some prospects. But I think I think he can just hit like that. He's going to hit in the majors. It's just like which position he's going to play is the thing. If he can stick at a shortstop, then he's the better prospect than Arjun Nimmala. But I think that like more likely than not he'll be at third. I think I've seen like 90 or 80-20 that he'll be a third base prospect over a shortstop. So yeah,
we're seeing more prospects be able to stay at short though. I remember Bo Bichette was always supposed to move off shortstop, and he was a shortstop all throughout his Blue Jays tenure. And we're seeing it more and more. Systems will keep guys at shorts until they can prove they can. So if he can make strides in pro ball, which is very hard to do, but if he can do it, then you have a chance there to be better. So interesting. I love JoJo Parker. I would actually have him above Nimmala just because I find there's safety in the hit tool. Plus with the power and just what he did in a high level in college, I think could be quite close. And if I was making a bet on who would be in the top, like maybe 30-40 prospects in baseball next year, JoJo Parker.
Oh, JoJo Parker. Yeah, I could see that. 100%. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So we'll round out our top 5 here. And we don't have to spend too long on either of these names, but do you have any thoughts on Jake Bloss, who was the prize of the Kikuchi trade, who has been hurt a lot and looks like he's still hurt at the moment, or Ricky Tiedemann, who is also probably the next best Blue Jays prospect, who also has been dealing with a bunch of injuries and looks like he'll be ready to go for spring. Do you have a thought on those two pitchers?
I think Bloss like actually was showing a lot of like cool stuff in spring training last season. Like I think his velo was up quite a bit, and like for him, it's not like he doesn't have like a super sound out pitch, but he has like a bunch of like above average pitches. So like none of his pitches are gonna be like, okay, this is his for sure like wipeout pitch. But if he learns how to like mix his pitches and effectively like tunnel the pitches well, create like plans against both lefties and righties, I think he still has a good shot to be like a solid mid rotation starter. Obviously, the injury is like pushing back the timeline for another year, and like last season in AAA, his command kind of faltered probably because of the injuries. But like I think if he's back in pitching again, I think he can still even contribute this year if he's healthy, and if we need pitching help by the end of the season. And then for Ricky T, I think I still think he can start, man, if he's healthy. His an issue with I think the problem with Ricky T is that like when he was hurt, like he didn't actually get surgery the first time. I think they tried to rehab it back, like his UCL, and then it took a year. And then when he came back to pitch next year, like the arm still wasn't good. So they instead of like maybe a surgery and 1 year healing process, it's like, okay, now you rehab it for 1 year, and then you have the surgery, you have to rehab for another year. So you just don't see him pitch for 2 years straight, like any capacity. But when in 2022, when he was pitching, like I think he was more dominant than Yesavage was at some point. Like he's throwing 99 from the left hand side, and he has 2 other plus pitches, and like with solid command too. I still think like the upside is just still there as a starter, and if he's a starter, he could be like a good number 2, and like put up 3 or 4 worse seasons. Like still, it's just that it has to show that like his arm is back, and he can still pitch well. I heard that there were some setbacks in his recovery though. Like he was supposed to pitch in the Arizona Fall League, and then he just wasn't able to because I think there was like a setback in his recovery. So there's still like obviously concern to be made, and he could easily fall back as a reliever because he has that stuff. But I still think he has room to improve and just be a starter still. He's still only 23, so I think he still has room to grow.
Okay, I don't know if you've convinced me, but if you listen to this podcast, that's a take that I've dropped at least a couple times now. Is that Ricky Tiedemann needs to be a reliever? I think personally, I just think it's like too tantalizing how much he could help the bullpen this season. Like I look at it from the big league roster perspective. Like Brendan Little's the number 1 lefty, and hey, like good option. I think I'm probably higher on Brendan Little than most Blue Jays fans after his performance in the playoffs. And then it's Mason Fluharty, who right now like probably doesn't even have a spot on the roster because they've got too many guys who don't have options and they need to cut one of them. Right. So I just think like, 99 from the left side that he can command with 2 other plus pitches. That sounds pretty nasty out of my bullpen. And there's honestly just no track record of him being able to stay healthy. You don't see him pitch for 2 years and you think he can stay healthy over like a full like season of a workload. Like I don't believe it. I'd love to see him continue developing this season in the bullpen. And then if it goes well and he stays healthy, then I'd like to see him try like in 2027, then we can stretch him out. But personally, like that's just me. That's my thoughts on Ricky Tiedemann. You would know better than me. But
I think we could like stretch him out in the beginning, like because he's still like rehabbing, right? So like if we can get him, pitching in AAA for first few months, and then down the stretch, if we really need that guy in the back of the bullpen, we can always bring him back in there. So it's not like you can't have both. You can still develop him as a starter while also having him as a reliever as well. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
I just remember the Blue Jays trying to make Nate Pearson a starter for way too long when he probably should have been a reliever this whole time. But yeah,
I think Ricky has better command than Pearson ever did. I think and Nate just could never find the zone, whereas like Ricky Tiedemann has shown that he can pound the zone a little bit. So
yeah, Nate Pearson didn't even work as a reliever at the big league level. Like
he might start for Houston this year, so pay attention with that if we're keeping tabs on former Blue Jays prospects. All right, Simon, let's move through some of these next here. On the pitching side, as you mentioned earlier, there were 2 really big jumps from the bottom half of our system. Well, 3 really. One of them we flipped to Cleveland for Shane Bieber. But Gage, Stanifer, and Johnny King are 2 of the pitchers that are getting the most helium from these players. Just quickly in like a minute or two, could you talk about what caused them to get so much hype?
I'll start with Johnny King because he was like our third rounder, so he got a pretty big bonus from the Jays because he's signed out of high school, and he just got nasty stuff. Like he's already up to the mid 90s with his fastball, like 93, 95 with really good shape. Like I think like plus 18% IVB. And then with good run in it, and then he has a nasty like slider. He's still working on a third pitch, like he doesn't really have a changeup yet. And his command, like after he was promoted from Florida to the Florida State League in low A, he kind of his walk rate kind of jumped up a lot. So he's still figuring out command and a third pitch, but he just has 2 like plus pitches already at 18 years old. So the sky's the limit for him. The only issue is like, can he, find that third pitch, and can he, lower that walk rate? And then for Stanifer, he just got a huge velo jump, like I think plus 2 miles per hour on his fastball. And then his command was also got way better. Like he was walking a ton of guys in the Florida Complex League the previous year. And then he just cut his like walk rate almost in half, I think. Now he's like around 10%, which is still a little fringy, but he's showing like 3 really good pitches. It's mostly just fastball slider against righties, and then like fastball like kind of a split change against lefties. but like all three pitches have shown like good whiff rates, good shape. So like I think if you can like I honestly I could you can maybe even see him in the pen this season, like if he
wow.
progresses well and would help, because I think his fastball slider is just that good so far. And then like his walk rate is like fringy enough where it's like you can kind of give up on him as a starter a little bit easier than some other prospects. And like and if like he still develops some, he'll also have options if we bring him up. You can still develop him as a starter later. But as a reliever prospect, I think he might be like the guy.
Love that.
All right, so I'm curious on those two guys. We've got a chance to trade for a bat. Jay's got a chance to trade for a bat ahead of spring training. You got to give up Johnny King or Gage Stanifer. Who are you giving up?
Oh man, I think the fact that like left-handed starters are just so much harder to come by, like might be a reason why I'd be more willing to give up Gage Stanifer, just because like Johnny King has so much. He's younger. He's has more pedigree. Gage Stanifer, like he was drafted out of high school, but he was more of like a 17th, 18th rounder, I think, something like that. So I really do think Johnny King just has like really special stuff, and I think if he can figure out his command and that third pitch, I think the sky's the limit for him. So I think I would rather keep Johnny King for now compared to Stanifer.
I think I'm with you. I'd rather take the guy who already has elite tools and maybe teach them command or how to have more pitchability than try to teach a guy to have elite tools. So I think I'm with you there. All right, Simon, I'm going to throw some rapid fire questions at you, and you just got to give me a name here. You don't need to go into much details.
Awesome.
Perfect. Who is the prospect that is currently outside of the Blue Jays top 10 that you think if everything clicks for them could be as high as number 1 in the system going into next year?
I think it has to be Jay Cook. Like just 80 speed, 80 rate speed. Like he barely hit before like last season, and he was hitting like he had like super low whiff rates. I think like under 7% strikeout rate, and he just started like hitting full time. So I think like if he can like obviously like just having 80 speed will let you be like an elite center field.
Yes.
Like give you the chance to be an elite center fielder. And like so I think if you can just learn how to like hit, like maybe lift the ball a little bit more, get the ball in the gaps, you could probably be a number 1 hitter, number 1 prospect. Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that pick. I think Jake Cook is such a sick, like just like the idea of him is so cool. He's got that Chandler Simpson level speed and like has a chance to like learn how to hit for a little bit of power. I think he could be so sick, and if not, like you saw that Chandler Simpson level speed like actually kind of works. Like you just slap the ball in the infield, you got a chance to turn it into a double with a infield single and a stolen base. Like I don't know, I love that pick. I love that, Simon.
You just got the tools.
All right, Simon, who is the one prospect in the Blue Jays system that you think public perception is down on that the Jays themselves are higher on?
Oh, the Jays themselves are higher on. Oh, in that case, probably like Edward Duran. I think he's like a catching prospect that was in like low A and then moved up to high A, and was also he took a trip to the Arizona Fall League a little bit. Like his numbers aren't like really eye popping, but like I've just heard rave reviews about his makeup. Like he's really good with working with pitchers. Defensively, he's like a great framer. He can throw runners out a little bit. So just like the young pitchers having such a breakout season, I think like you could attribute some of it to Edward Duran just being like a steady backstop, and like he was getting promoted with them from low A to Vancouver. So like I think like the breakout pitching like was improved just by having Edward Duran there. I think his future is more of like a backup catcher, but I think like the Jays really like what they've seen out of Edward Duran. Yeah.
I love that very much. Simon, just real quick, the Blue Jays prospect with the best power is blank.
Best power right now, probably Sean Keys. Sean Keys probably has the most pop. So right now, yeah.
All right,
he's the big slugging first baseman, right?
First baseman, out of Bucknell.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Go ahead, Owen.
Well, that's all I've got, Jesse. If you got more, then ask away. But like that's enough prospect talk for me.
Just a few small ones. I'll be really quick. I'm just gonna say a name, Simon, and I want you to tell me if you are stock up or stock down on said player.
All right, awesome.
Got it. Juan Sanchez.
I think I'm stock up on him. I think he's he had a great season in the Dominican Summer League, and I think he could be, the next number one prospect probably.
All right, Brandon Barriera.
I think I'm neutral on him. I think his stuff is actually was actually ticking up. Like I heard that like he was up to the mid 90s with his fastball. His curveball shape looked good, and then he just another injury, elbow fracture. But I think if he's healthy, like he might be able to show the improvements to the stuff that he was showing in the backfields.
Okay, and I have two more. First one, Charles McAdoo.
I think it might be a stock down on him. I think I'm concerned about his ability to play the field, and then like other than first base, and then like he's athletic, but he's kind of a little stiff, so it's kind of hard for him to to adjust to like breaking pitches. Like he took a trip to the developmental list, and it's kind of not a great thing to see, even though he did improve after coming back. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. And Tucker Tillman is my last one.
Unfortunately, I think it might be the writing on the wall for him.
Yikes! Love Tucker Tillman.
I know. I love a switch inning prospect, but it's been a tough couple of years for him. He had a decent season in low A, but it was his third time through. Yeah,
he was taken right before Roman Anthony, right?
Yeah, he was.
I think so.
Yeah,
really
I think
sweet
that
draft,
2022 draft class was a little bit shaky, but
yeah, that 22 draft class was terrible. We can be honest with ourselves here. Oh my god.
I'm all good. So Simon, thank you so much for answering those questions. A full detailed broadcast of the Blue Jays farm system. Love it so much. You've got me excited now to see some of these players coming in late into these games of spring training. So now we have something to watch even after all the stars get taken out, as they take those long bus trips to like Atlanta in spring. We have something to watch and root for. So thank you.
Simon, thank you so much, man. Thanks for joining us. A really, really good and important insight. Spring training is going to be a ton of fun. Can't wait to get my eyes on all these guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All righty, Jesse. What'd you think of that interview? You higher on the J system than you were before, or a little bit lower? Like, how'd you feel?
I mean, spring training is the season of optimism, right? So if you can't get excited about these prospects, what can you get excited about? I'm leaving that interview thinking, oh, Jake Cook is going to be the next best center fielder baseball's ever seen. He's gonna steal 50 bags, might hit 25 home runs and whatnot. I love the hype he was cooking up for Johnny King and Gage Stanifer. I like that. And even though, like he mentioned, that we do not have as many high-end prospects, like we don't have that next guaranteed superstar, I do think the Blue Jays system is just fine with the jumps we made last year and with the depth of prospects that we have. So I'm feeling quite confident. How about you?
Yeah, I don't feel bad. I feel like you have enough. And what I care about in a farm system personally, especially with where the Jays are at right now, I care about that. Do they have enough to trade from the system and help the team get better at the deadline? And we're about to talk about this Anthony Santander news. Do you have enough to get a deal done and improve the roster at the big league level? And honestly, I come away from that feeling pretty confident that there's some bait there. There's at least enough to dream on where I think you can get a deal done. So I think that was a fun conversation with Simon. Thanks a lot to him for joining us. And with that, I think we have to talk about it. Massive news dump right before you and I jumped on to record this with Simon. The biggest news, Anthony Santander going to miss 5 to 6 months with shoulder surgery. The news came out. What was your initial reaction?
My first thought was, why did he not have this surgery in October? Like, if you knew, because last time we saw Santander, right, he came in for the division series and then he had to be taken out and because of the shoulder injury. And my thought is, well, if you're having that injury now, why wait so long? Even if you're not sure it's completely broken and you need surgery, like still get in the room with the doctor, see if you can get this done, because the last thing you want is exactly what happened. He shows up to camp, not ready to go. And now you're down a guy that frankly, the Blue Jays were relying on getting production from. And now you're not getting that production and you're kind of out of time to replace his production. So that was my first thought of why did he not get this done earlier?
Yeah. So the report from BNS, it came out that he was getting shoulder surgery. And like my initial reaction is getting, like, what do you mean hasn't gotten it yet? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what are we waiting for to get this done? BNS comes out and says it was a setback after ramping up. So, okay, like a little bit more acceptable, I guess. Like at the same time, though, it doesn't make the deal any better. Like, frankly, it's like pretty upsetting to see this because, like, yeah, the Jays needed him in the lineup. You're losing like 135 weighted runs created plus bat in your middle infield in Bo Bichette and Anthony Santander, who was like actually like a negative win player for you last year, was supposed to be a lot more than that and kind of make up for a lot of that production. And you're not going to see him until at least August. Like, that's 5 to 6 months from now, right? Like August, like that is 2/3 of a season. Like, so there's your trade deadline acquisition, I guess. Like,
I'm already sick of that narrative that we're going to hear.
No, I'm already sick of it. I may as well start it now because they're going to be telling us that. Like, oh my God.
And shoulder injuries too typically take a little bit long in the process, especially for the power to come back. Bryce Harper had this. He had a down year with the power after that. Dalton Varsho had a shoulder injury, and he's a little different. He changed the whole swing, but maybe Santander would have to change his whole swing to get the power back. And from a guy who doesn't offer you much else other than power, if he loses that power, man, he's going to be a very tough guy to fit on this roster going forward. So very tough for Santander. And this contract is, a bad contract doesn't really matter. The Jays have so much money, so who really cares? But it's starting to look quite awful really quick for Santander.
Oh, Jesse, don't worry, man. It's okay. There's only 4 more seasons of Anthony Santander on the Blue Jays left. Like,
right.
Like, are you like? I frankly, like, I know it hasn't been that long in the grand scheme of things, but I'm getting like sick of this, like this saga. Like, he came in, like, and that's the issue with the guy that does one thing well. And that's hit for power. And that's what he does really well when he's on the field, and he can't even get on the field. And when he was on the field last year, he was bad. And it's not like you missed him when he was out. So I guess like maybe we won't miss him as much as we're expecting. But you look at roster resource right now, like and who's hitting in the 2 spot, it's your best friend Nathan Lucas. And I'm like, it worked in the playoffs, man. I get it. Like it did. But that's like over a 162, a full sample size. He's gonna have to face lefties a whole bunch. That's not what I like to see. So, like, I think you really, if your like goal is to win the American League East again and be the best team in the American League and make it back to the World Series and win the whole thing, you got to do better than that. And Anthony Santander was supposed to be a part of it. And I look at the lineup now, and frankly, it's not good enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs in this lineup, and that's kind of scary. Like, what if Vlad's only a 23 home run hitter again, right? What if Kazuma Okamoto can't make the adjustment right away and it takes him a year to come over and get adjusted? Kirk just had a great year. What if Varsho can't stay healthy? Like, there are a lot of what ifs going up here. Some positives, though, as you mentioned, it does give John Schneider more tools. He can have Nathan Lucas hit against every righty. He can have Davis Schneider hit against every lefty. Both of them are quite good. It does improve the outfield defense because we were going to be relying on one of Santander or George Springer in a corner outfield spot every single day. So now you can have a better defender out there, which is key. Also, too, this also makes Addison Barger now very likely your full-time right fielder, even against left-handed hitters. So I was screaming for a bit of the last year that we got to let Addison Barger hit more against lefties. And now, because of this injury, it seems like we'll be getting our wish.
Yeah, well, we're about to find out if it works over a full 162 sample size because there is like not even a lick of safety net there. You asked Simon, like the hesitation when I asked him which one of these like AAA like big league ready, and I say that like with like the heaviest serving of salt on the table. Like none of those big league ready guys are actually ready to come in and contribute like for a team that has American League East championship like aspirations. Like RJ Schreck's not going to do that for you. Yohendrick Pinango's not going to do that for you. Like Simon like wanted Josh Kasevich. Like, okay, so we're going to take away Ernie Clement at bats. And like, I don't think that's really what's going to happen. And like, that goes without even saying, like, you're already bumping Ernie Clement, who like, I'm the biggest Ernie Clement guy out there. He was a below league average hitter last year, and he's already being bumped into an everyday role, like without even the Santander injury. I really think this lineup needs a boost. And I just have no idea where it's coming from unless we get a trade in the next few weeks here.
Yeah, or we get one of these prospects to come up and soar. I will say, like, Owen, this Blue Jays team is good. It was really good last year. It's going to be really good again this year. But there are more question marks with this team than I think you want to see. And these injury updates, and there's even more than just Santander too, really start to shake up that roster. I will say some positives looking at this. It does open up a couple spots on the 40-man roster. So, hey, there's always potential now for a move somewhere to come in. There's not much left on the free agent market, you know, unless you're really excited about Randall Grichuk to come in and hit left-handed hitting or something like that. No. But I didn't think so. There's not much. out there. So look, at least now there will be spring training battles for that last roster spot. We saw Alan Roden make the team last year. Who knows? Somebody could come up, get off to a hot spring, and make their impact on this team.
Yeah, man. So Jays are going to have to rely on their pitching. So good news that everyone's healthy. Oh, Shane Bieber is going to be starting the season on the injured list with nothing other than, of course, forearm tightness, just what you want to see for every pitcher. Like, just another, like, we kind of had an inkling that this was coming. We knew he picked up that $12 million option, I guess $60 million with the $4 million buyout. So, like, yeah, he figured he couldn't beat $12 million on the open market on a one-year season. He knew he was going to fail a physical. That's why he picked it up. It all, like, kind of connected the puzzle piece, or all the pieces of the puzzle together for us. Like, first reaction when you see the Shane Bieber news.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised by this because we got a comment from Ross Atkins, I think back in December, that said something along the lines of he'll be ready for opening day. And at that time, it wasn't he'll be ready for spring training. He'll be ready halfway through. He was already putting the timeline on opening day. And usually when GMs speak like that, they're always optimistic. I do hope this is it, though, because forearm tightness is a precursor to Tommy John. And he's already had Tommy John. Has he had it twice, or am I making that up?
I believe this was his first one, but I could be wrong, but I believe.
Yeah, so either way, and like I wasn't convinced he was fully healthy when he was pitching in the playoffs for us last year either. I will say Shane Bieber does have some exciting stuff under the hood. He's still the numbers, the surface numbers looked okay for Bieber when he pitched, but his health has suddenly become way more important for this Toronto Blue Jays team, and we're going to need him quite early on. I will say too, one of the best predictors of a player's performance in season is getting through spring training healthy. And that's not a good look for Shane Bieber, who the Blue Jays are relying on quite heavily.
Yeah. So that, and the next segment that we had lined up for after our Simon Lee interview, and that was, who does spring training mean the most for? And the first guy I wrote down even before the Shane Bieber news came out was Jose Barrios. And I just hate how important he's become to this team over in the last hour since this news has dropped. Like Jose Barrios coming after throwing a fit and not showing face in the World Series after being left off the playoff rosters. And Jose Barrios, who had a 5-something ERA last year and was borderline unpitchable down the stretch, just an absolute launching pad every time he was throwing the ball over the plate. I felt very positive of this team going into spring training, and this news all came out, and you have to squint a little bit harder to see some positives than you did before.
Yeah, I will say, if you're Jose Barrios, though, you can now use this to your opportunity. Like, if you're mad, if you're ticked off, the best way to go out, get your revenge, is to prove to the Blue Jays front office that they were wrong. They should have had you on this playoff roster. They should have never even had the idea of sending you to the bullpen. Go out there and just shove. Get out there dominant, flip the whole script we have on you. Maybe make some adjustments, find that sharpness on the slurve and the sinker again, and get out there and shove. He did just get approval to be part of Puerto Rico's pitching pool, designated pitcher pool for the WBC. So that is a sign of health, which is good because the Blue Jays need a sign of health on the pitching staff right now. But if you go to roster resource on Fangraphs, Jose Barrios is your number 4 starter going into camp next year. So I say he went from being a trade candidate because the Blue Jays have too many starters to we need this guy, and we need this guy very fast right now.
Yeah, and we've seen him do it before. I don't think you're going to find a lot of Jays fans who don't remember his 2022, where he had a 5.23 ERA. He was pretty terrible from start to finish that season, and then he bounced back in a massive way in 2023. Got back to that career average of the mid threes, a 3.65 ERA, and then was quite good in 2024, right around the same level, and then I think a lot of people forget he did start 2025 well. It was just down the stretch where he just became really, really bad, honestly, and was clearly unhealthy. So hopefully a little bit of a longer off season with that IL time towards the end of the season. Hopefully he comes back healthy and can contribute in a big way because, like you mentioned, the Blue Jays are going to need him. And I think I just have a question for you because we've got 2 guys now who are coming over from overseas from Asia in Cody Ponce and Kazuma Okamoto, and both of them are going to be playing like really, really big roles, and bigger roles than I think they were expected to have to play when the Jays signed them, because now that there's injuries, they kind of move up a peg in the pecking order. Like, are you a little bit more concerned now than you were before about the performance of those guys?
Yeah, this Blue Jays team, as I mentioned earlier, has a lot of variability to it, right? So that could go either way. That could go really good if they all click, but it could also sink this team if it goes quite bad. Look, Cody Ponce now was amazing in that season in Korea. Let's not forget, like, nobody can take that away from him. But two, he's coming over to North America. He'll have a new baseball. He's going to have to deal with. Hitters are tougher in North America than they are in Korea. He's going to have to make a lot of adjustments, and he's got to make it quick. I have no doubt that the changes he made are real. The Blue Jays wouldn't have given them all that money if they weren't. But now there's a lot of what ifs, and they've got to click right for Cody Ponce. He's another name that watching this spring is going to be very, very key.
Yeah, and then the other one, Kazuma Okamoto, like, you look at roster resource now, he's slotted to hit 7th. So, like, yeah, not the biggest role on the team, but, like, that's your everyday third baseman. And he's going to have to, like, be good for this lineup if this lineup's going to score a bunch of runs, because Anthony Santander going down, like, would you have written Anthony Santander in for 30 homers? Because I probably would have at the start of the year.
25 at least, but,
yeah,
like,
he's
still
healthy.
a lot, yeah.
That's very important. He's like pretty much a guarantee to be a positive weighted runs created plus over 100, probably over 110. Like that's his profile. That's what he does. That's why he's on the team. He's your cleanup hitter, and he just evaporated into thin air. He's not going to play for the team.
So now where's this power going to come from then? Like, because we kind of need Okamoto now to be a home run threat from him. Because after Vlad and Springer, I suppose your next best power hitter, Varsho, and then after Varsho, Barger. And then if not Barger, Okamoto, like, it's all right in that same mix of range there. And they're going to need those guys, I think, to hit their upper projections of home run totals than their lower ones. And look, I know the numbers against high velocity in Japan were good for Okamoto, but there isn't a big sample size there. And the sample size is so small that it's almost hard to take seriously. So we'll see if he can turn around on high velocity, because the Blue Jays kind of need that going into this year.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a frustrating moment. We're less than an hour after this news dropped, or maybe just about an hour. So we're going to come to terms that we're going to be okay. We're still going to predict the Blue Jays to win the AL East when we do our season prediction podcast in a couple weeks here, once spring training is fully underway. Okay, like, it's going to be okay. Everybody take a deep breath. But, like, I personally, just as I look at the roster now, I don't think they're the best team in the American League East anymore. Like, I have a really hard time seeing that. And we knew Shane Bieber maybe wasn't 100%, but it hurts to see. And the fact that Anthony Santander is, like, just going to be a complete nothing for what looks like the second season in a row is very, very frustrating. And I have a hard time seeing how this contract ends up turning into a positive when it's all said and done.
I'm with you there. But let's be honest here. Like, the Yankees are still going through a ton of pitching injuries as well. There's still an avenue that they can go through. And if this is it, like, I know it's day one. It's not even day one of spring. Day one of spring is tomorrow, but it's pre-spring. But if we can get through the rest of spring with nothing else really leaking up, then we're still in good shape. Seems like George Springer's healthy. They said he's going to play a lot more in the outfield this year, so that's a positive. Like seeing that. Have we mentioned Bowden Francis yet and his injury? Did we get to that?
So that's what I was going to get to next.
Yeah, let's do that now.
More pitching depth. I don't have a whole lot on Bowden Francis, like another guy that did not contribute last year, and when he did, he was really bad. A lot of people had super high expectations for Bowden Francis coming to this season. Like, I was ready for some regression. I wasn't ready for this. He first of all also has not gotten the surgery yet. Like, what are these guys doing if they haven't gotten their surgeries yet? I don't understand that, but he will be undergoing UCL surgery, basically a Tommy John equivalent, and will miss the entirety of the season. That's basically a 12-month recovery. So hopefully he's ready to ramp up for spring training in 2027. Are you going to miss having Bowden Francis as an option? Who does this put some more pressure on? Like, put some pressure on Jake Bloss to get healthy. Adam Macko, maybe. Eric Lauer is going to be stretched out. So there's your starting pitching depth. It's not nothing, but a lot of guys that are, and that's the nature of starting pitching depth, but it's a lot of guys that are question marks.
Right. He was a fan favorite last year, or when he was pitching for us. I'll remember those near no hitters he had for the rest of my Blue Jays fandom. I suppose. But remember, like even for a team that went to Game 7 of the World Series, Easton Lucas made 5 starts for this team last year. Jose Arena made 2 starts for this team last year. So there are players out there. Spencer Turnbull made a start for this team. Like they're going to have to get deep into this pitching staff. And Bowden Francis was probably going to be one of those guys. You mentioned Eric Lauer now. So that becomes a name that I think has been reported is going to be stretched out in spring. So you can almost take him out of the bullpen picture now, which might open a spot for Mason Fluharty, which you mentioned earlier. And he will probably now be the 6th man coming up if they need to stretch out a player. So it's good for him. It's good for Ricky Tiedemann, who we're going to see this camp as well, who will get a chance. And a lot of these starting pitching depth options that we have are going to get a good chance. If Adam Macko can pitch well for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic and can show he can log some innings, this might be good for him. Lazaro Estrada, another name that could be up there and could be good. So for that type of tier of Blue Jays pitching prospect, this spring training is going to matter so much more because a good spring here, the GM will remember that. And when they need pitching, and they will over the course of the season, it could be your name that's called up.
Yeah. So do you think the Jays, I guess we'll do this for a second here. Do you think they'd be willing to start Eric Lauer in AAA? Because honestly, I think that's probably like, and I know like we're playing with guys' feelings and money and stuff like that. Like he doesn't even have an arbitration deal yet, or he hasn't had his hearing yet. So like that could be like causing a rift. And not that Eric Lauer's the guy I care most about, like how he feels. But after what he did for your team last year, like I think I'd have a hard time sending him to AAA to start the season. I do want him as starting pitching depth. However, I think he'd rather be in the big league bullpen catching big league checks than in AAA.
I'd rather be in the big leagues getting big league checks than pitching in AAA. I know that. But your options right now are either Eric Lauer's in the rotation and Cody Ponce is coming out of the bullpen, or it's Eric Lauer's your long man. And that might be actually the play. Cody Ponce is the 5 guy. Maybe you piggyback the 2 of them in a way. But either way, one of them goes down or something happens, they are going to both be in the starting rotation very, very quickly. So Eric Lauer was really good through the 4th most innings for the Blue Jays last year and is going to be relied on a lot this season again.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. Okay. So who does spring training mean the most for you? I've got a couple names written down. We did the Jose Barrios conversation. I want to know what you think about Davis Schneider. And I guess the Anthony Santander injury actually takes a whole lot of pressure off of Davis Schneider. But we were looking at it with Anthony Santander on the roster. Like he's the only infielder on the bench as of right now. And I think the Santander injury maybe does open up a Josh Kasevich big league debut, because as of right now, Davis Schneider is the only guy that can play infield on your bench.
Yeah. And the Blue Jays are lucky. They're a little flexible. You could always move Addison Barger to the infield. Ernie Clement can move around. You can find ways to get guys in there. But in terms of Davis Schneider specifically, I don't know what else he really has to show. I think we already kind of know what Davis Schneider is. And it sounds like with the Santander injury, he's actually going to get more of his playing time in left field. So the players that I think have a real opportunity now are like the Josh Kasevich. I'm still a Leo Jimenez fan. I still think there is a path in there. He'll be off to the World Baseball Classic, so we won't see him in camp too much. But it's that group of infielders. RJ Schreck is another one. If one of them can go up. I personally really want to see a guy who can play good defense up the middle in case, like, if Andres Jimenez gets hurt, then we need a middle infielder or something in the worst way. So I'd love to see a defense first guy come up there. But I don't really see one on the market, and it's going to be a battle for those prospects. So for that tier, I suppose, is must watch for spring training.
Yeah, I can't stress enough how much these injuries actually take off like a ton of pressure from guys, which sucks because you went from having what was a very crowded roster and kind of like too many like good players with spots, or too many good players for spots to fill. And now you're kind of like looking around like, I really like a little bit more depth here. What if like an injury happens here and then there's nobody to replace him? Like that's kind of where these injuries have left us. And I can't make this up like at all, because the next 2 names on who does spring training mean the most for were Anthony Santander and Shane Bieber. And neither of them is going to have I guess Shane Bieber is going to have a spring training and he's going to have to prove he gets healthy. So like Shane Bieber's season's not done as of right now, like knock on wood. But Anthony Santander is not going to be around for spring training. So I guess we could do the Shane Bieber conversation. Like, what do you want to see from him to get healthy? Like, what's the timeline? Like, you're hoping you see him in April, obviously.
Yeah, and he's going to need a ramp up period. So I do think I think if everything goes well, you're going to see him get into a spring game probably in the last week of spring training. Maybe it's just an inning or two, gets up there. Then he'll start down at the complex to work himself back up. And then he'll go on a rehab stint. So I'm thinking, if I'm putting a real timeline on this, probably the first week of May or so, he'll be ready to rejoin the rotation, assuming no more setbacks. But I think if you can see him take the mound by the end of spring training, I think you are on sign that things are going in the right direction.
Okay. I can be okay with that because we've talked about it all winter. You do have 6 starters, now 5. But Jose Barrios and Cody Ponce are both going to be starting the season in the rotation. And the rotation's still good. Like the top end of that rotation with Kevin Gausman and Dylan Cease looks very strong. I think there's a lot of people, there's not many people who don't believe in what Trey Yesavage can do at the big league level over a full season. So I think it's okay. The one thing that remained kind of unchanged from today's little news dump is the bullpen. And the 2 guys that I'm kind of pointing the finger at that I'm going to be watching a little bit closer in spring training, Yimi García and Tommy Nance. So nobody in the Blue Jays bullpen has options, which is a bad thing because that means you're way less flexible unless you're willing to lose those guys. Okay. None of those guys that don't have options, I'm really willing to lose. Like, I don't want to part ways with either of those guys. But if one of those guys is not healthy, I think the Blue Jays would be willing to part ways with them in favor of maybe one of their Rule 5 guys, Angel Bastardo or Spencer Miles. Brandon Fisher got it done at the big league level for large stretches last year. So did Mason Fluharty. Chase Lee was a big league pitcher all of last season for the Tigers. So if one of those guys doesn't perform in spring training, I think the Blue Jays might be willing to digest letting one of them go.
Yeah, they're at least going to roll into the start of the season with both those guys, prove that they're healthy, prove they are effective. Tommy Nance, though, I think his job just got a little more safer because he was on that bubble. We've had articles go up on J Center about what it might mean for Tommy Nance. I think unless he blows up or has a disaster, I think he's probably going to safely slide into the back end of this bullpen now. But he's got to perform in spring, right? And for a veteran, it's a lot to ask, but he's got to do it. One thing about this pitching injury is that this does help those 2 Rule 5 guys, Spencer Miles, Angel Bastardo. It's probably easier now to squeak them onto the roster a little bit into the back end of the bullpen. It's still a crowded pitcher, I know, but again, the Blue Jays have always been very good at asset management. We've seen them do this with Rule 5 picks in the past. And I think in Bastardo's case, he only has to be on the roster for 6 weeks, give or take, before we gain his full rights. So there is this is a path for carrying one of them on the opening day roster, and they will have to pitch well in spring to show for it as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be a super interesting spring training regardless. I honestly just love spring training. I love getting my eyes on all the prospects, all the guys that you haven't seen since the end of the season. And yeah, the end of the season was pretty late for us this year. We were very, very lucky to get to watch the Jays in Game 7 of the World Series. But I personally, I'm ready for spring training. I need these baseball games on my TV. I think it'll kind of help me like relax a little bit, maybe be a little bit less animated about the Anthony Santander and Shane Bieber discussions and be able to believe in my team a little bit more. Remember just how good like they actually are, how good Kevin Gausman and Dylan Cease are going to be, how good George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are going to be. Like, it's going to be okay. Deep breath, but I just need to see it happen.
Oh, the first time Vladdy hits a moonshot over the like into the parking lot at TD Ballpark, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be like, baseball is so back. My hot take with spring, Owen, is that spring training is actually terrible. We're gonna get so exciting for the first game against the Phillies, I believe, on the 21st. We're gonna be locked in. We're gonna watch like an inning of I don't know who's even going to get the opening day start. Eric Lauer will start the first spring training game or something, and we'll get all hyped up. You know, Alejandro Kirk will hit a double, and then we're going to be like, oh yeah, he's made all these changes, and then like it's just a slog, and then we're ready for the season to start. Just stay healthy is number one, and we will have the World Baseball Classic this year to satisfy that itch for competitive baseball early in the season.
Yeah, who's your bet to be the first best shape of his life report on the Jays?
Love this. Oh, I want to think of a good answer. I'm going to go off board and say Miles Straw.
Oh, that's a crazy pick. I don't think it's going to be Straw. Who do I think?
No, it won't be. But
somehow
I want to go crazy.
No, somehow Addison Barger put on more muscle. Not that he needed it, but that's my pick.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
No. Okay, so real quick, we got some other news. Big news this week. Much more positive. Well, I guess no, not really. Another huge loss. Not positive at all. It's a celebration of sorts, but it's not
Yes.
good. It upset me. Buck Martinez retiring. What was your initial thoughts on that? Like, obviously, Buck means so much to us.
First thought was, is he okay? Like, was this a forced retirement? Did something tragic happen? And I'm glad that that wasn't the case. I'm glad it seems to be like he was okay. We kind of saw the writing on the wall. We kind of had a feeling that this was coming. Absolute legend. I know that, as you have in the notes here, that Joe Carter is getting a statue outside of Rogers Center. Buck Martinez deserves one just as much out there. I know this is the 50th anniversary of the Toronto Blue Jays. It's going to be a theme all throughout the season. But boy, we got to make this all about Buck Martinez as well. And he was so close, Owen, to that story tale ending. If he could have got that World Series win at the end, it's so close. But from all accounts, there's not a better man in baseball than what Buck Martinez was. He was a true lifer for the game. And he'll always be a part of my memory and in my head for as long as I'm around.
Yeah, man, it's a swing and a drive. Like, get
Yeah.
up ball.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Buck Martinez is forever going to be like my favorite. I don't, for somebody I've never met, it's weird to talk about, but like, how could somebody I've never met mean so much to me? Like, just the amount of hours, like in like hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of hours. I don't really know if that's feasible, but so much time just spent listening to his voice and him talking. And I will forever be grateful for how good he was at his job and him fostering my love for this team and watching the Blue Jays. And Buck Martinez is the man. Get his name on the level of excellence tomorrow.
Rename it after Buck Martinez.
Oh,
like the whole thing.
God. I love that. Yes. Oh, my God. That's so good. That's even better. Yeah. And put the statue right beside Joe Carter's. And do you know what the statue is going to be? Is it going to be of Joe Carter?
I think it's going to be him when he hit that home run and he's kind of jumping up in the air that you've seen on the cover of the Toronto Star for a long time. I think that's what it's going to be. We should get updates on that probably as spring training rolls on.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun. I'm super excited to see that. That's going to be way cooler than the Ted Rogers statue that is currently out there. So
they're getting rid of that apparently. Yeah, that's going into a corporate boardroom somewhere, which honestly is right where it belongs. I do want to say, in honor of Buck Martinez, Dan Schulman just one time has to let his cell phone ring on the air as like a tribute to Buck Martinez, just for the memory time's sakes for one last time, and just see if we can do that.
Yeah, one more cell phone ring. Maybe they should just play it over the like the speakers at Rogers Center for all the fans to hear, like you're watching on TV at home.
I'll call Tim Langton, the PA announcer, and see if he can hook us up and get that going. That'd be great.
I love that. Did you have anything on the promo schedule that dropped? It was actually like a very, very comprehensive promo schedule. Lots of really cool giveaways. You're gonna have to get down to the ballpark a whole bunch this season because like so many retro like jerseys and bobbleheads and stuff like that. Did you have a favorite? Like what's the one you have to go to?
I mean, I'm still a sucker for dollar hot dogs, my guy. Give me those every Tuesday. Yeah. I'll be at the Dome. I'm not the market fan for this. I love the baseball. I go to the Blue Jays games for the baseball. But I have a lot of friends who have been talking a lot of these up. They are very excited. Me personally, because I'm a little bit of a weirdo, give me the Addison Barger couch t-shirt that Davis Schneider took and giving that away. If I were to wear that in public, not a single person would know what that's about except a diehard Blue Jays fan. So that is my personal favorite off the ball. I will say, too, I love pennants. You can't see it, but I've got a bunch of Blue Jays pennants out over on the side here, and I want to add more to the collection. So the one they're giving away on opening day is sweet. But that's really all I've got. It's not really for me, Owen. I feel like you've got one, though. Hit me with what you're most excited for.
Yeah, so I see the thing is like I'm going to get it and then like never wear it or use it. But like that... Well, I've got two jerseys that I really like, and it's the Shane Bieber Canada Day no sleeves red jersey. Oh my God, that is so sick. I would love to see them like actually wearing those on Canada Day this year. Like if they were actually wearing these jerseys on the field to like coincide with the giveaways, that'd be the coolest thing ever. That's what I care about. So that one's like really cool. And then the black Trey Yesavage jersey. I know it's a bad take in Jays land. But I think they're kind of coming back around. I think those black jerseys are so sick. They're maybe not the best, but I think the Blue Jays, I think they were ready. The fan base is ready for another black jersey. Doesn't have to be the same like Angry J logo and all that, but I would love to see the Blue Jays wearing some black Not the City Connect ones, but some like true like black and blue classic Blue Jays, like mid 2000s, like early aughts jersey.
Yeah, that was my childhood Blue Jays team growing up. The Alex Rios, the Orlando Hudson, they were all that Angry Birds Blue Jays jerseys. I don't own any of those old jerseys. In fact, that was like my childhood growing up. So it was cool. I will say I was ready for the change when they made the jerseys change, and I'm not ready to go back yet. Maybe just I might be in the minority there, but we'll keep that. In terms of bobbleheads, I really like that we're getting the baby Vladdy of him with the Expos holding up his hat. That would be really sick. I'm going to be really happy for that one. Anytime we get Roy Halladay stuff, love that. The Roy Halladay replica jersey, the old vintage one, is going to be very fun. And I do like that we have some of the new guys. We get like a Dylan Cease bobblehead flicking up through there. And anytime, and a Kazuma Okamoto t-shirt giveaway. And probably my favorite, aside from the Barger one, is the replica World Series rings from 1992 and 93 that'll be handed out in July. Those are going to be cool. Those are going to be neat. I got to find a way to get one of those.
Yeah, that's super sweet. It's going to be like there's first of all just so many giveaways. Like pretty much every night you're going to the ballpark, you're gonna like get your or have a chance to get your hands on something really really cool. And I was really surprised at like how many of these I was like, oh, like that is actually like something I would kind of want to like get. I kind of want like most of these things, which it's gonna be an expensive summer for your boy.
Say that again with tickets going up too, and then all this cool stuff at the Dome. And I still am trying to catch up on some World Series merch, so I'm with you, man. My credit card's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Oh man, is what it is. Jesse, first of all, really good interview with Simon. Really enjoyed talking to him about prospects. And then the second half of this pod, I think was good, but pretty frustrating from both of us. Well, just a little bit of a vent session. I feel better now than when we started. I don't know about you. But if you've got nothing else, I'm ready to get out of here.
No, me too. Happy spring training, everybody. We officially made it. It is the best time of the year. It is officially baseball season. We will have Blue Jays baseball on our TV in almost a week. So be very thankful for that. And from here on out, and we begin the long grind of what should be redemption in the World Series for the Toronto Blue Jays this year. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. As said, if you're not going to say it, like the video, subscribe to the podcast, all that other stuff. 5 stars. Please tell a friend to help this show grow.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining Jesse Burrell and Owen Hill on this episode of the Jays Center podcast. Had a ton of fun breaking it down for you guys, and we will talk again soon. Thanks.
Peace.